So, The Eternals has just come out recently. It is a 2.5 hour slobber knocker. It's a very long film, a very different film to usual Marvel standards, but it does contrast with some of it. Not really. It is its own separate thing. They just make fun of like a couple things here and there. So, I'm just going to review it. So, again, spoiler free. Not going to be too long of a film review without the spoilers because I'm not going to go through the whole plot with you, but I'll give you the general details and all that stuff. I've got my laptop just here for any like other research purposes. Now this film keeps getting mixed reviews. Like I can see it's only got 6.8 on IMDb, 48 on Rotten Tomatoes, and 50% 52% on Metacritic. And yeah, I can honestly see why. Like I'm not saying it's a bad film. I don't think it was as bad or as boring of a film as I was expecting because the trailers just didn't really excite me. Basically, the main premise of this film is there's this guy. What was his name? I can't remember his name, but some big guy. He made the Eternals, and basically what he has done is he created a spirit in the Earth's core, and they kept doing that to create a celestial, and eventually that celestial was gonna come out, but this guy created deviants to stop that, but the deviants went too crazy, and then that's when he made Eternals to fight them off. Now, obviously, the Eternals don't know that in the beginning of the film. They're just learning, doing the whole thing. They think they just have to fight deviants because they're the enemies. Eventually, they do fight them off. They think they've destroyed them all, and then, like 7,000 years later, They came back to Earth. Eventually. Now, main premise of this film is, well, I just told you the main premise of the film. There is a lot of twists and turns, a lot of story details, a lot of changes. Obviously, I told you one of them. It's not a big one, to be honest. There's a lot more twists and turns and a lot more things you might see coming, but you wouldn't necessarily see coming. All the cast were great in it. I think for a film like this, it was it still interesting if you know anything about Greek mythology or even the basis. It is quite interesting. As in terms of for like a superhero film, I didn't feel like that into it. Like all their powers didn't seem anything too crazy. For example, Icarus's power is he can fly and shoot lasers and he's quite strong. Basically made fun of him for being like Superman or something. Others is like mind control, super speed, nothing crazy, nothing too interesting. Strength, it's nothing new, it's nothing original, it's not like a broken power or anything. It's just they all have different powers that make them unique. Again, like the Justice League or Avengers, for example, because this isn't the Marvel universe, they all have like different powers. Um, what else happened? I will say for 2.5 hours, I there is a lot of plot detail, so you want to learn about all characters' backstories, but each character will have some sort of backstory, some sort of plot development that you can follow through. It's not too hard to follow through, but there's a lot of plot development that you can follow through, and that's what makes it, I guess, more interesting. They wanted to give you as much detail about each of these characters, or a lot of detail about each of these characters, um, throughout the film, so you feel more emotion. One thing I will say, for me, Kumail Nanjiani made the film for me. Like I've seen some of his other stuff, but this performance, my out of every other actor and actress, personally my favorite, and I don't think I've ever said that about an Asian actor before. So great. Honestly, he made the film. He had a helper, a valet in the film, hilarious guy as well. That was incredible. He didn't have that much of a backstory, but the story he did have and like the jokes he told made it great, made it more interesting. I think that is very very well done performance um, compared to all the other characters. Now, I'm still not quite sure how to rate this film exactly, so I wouldn't say it's like the best film ever. Obviously, a brand new thing. They had end credit scenes. They have two, so it's worth staying till the very end. But if you haven't read any of the comics, I mean, I haven't. I mean, it's a good film in general, but in terms of a general Marvel film, I think you're more looking at, I wouldn't say an advanced superhero film. I would say more like a maybe less like a a more actiony style film. Like obviously most action heroes don't have superpowers, so this is sort of like that, action heroes with some sort of superpowers, good story, good plot, something like that. It's not too bad. So I don't exactly know how to rate it because I didn't know how I felt about it still. Um I will give it, oh, they're all very mixed. I will say I'll do 6.5 out of 10. Maybe if I watch it again at some point in the future, I might see it more, or whenever maybe there's future developments for the Eternals that link into them, then maybe. But in terms of like a standalone film, like what that Marvel have done, it's not been the best one for a while. Obviously, when they did Guardians of the Galaxy, that blew off. That was great, and that linked in quite well. Um, but I think a lot more people would, if you're expecting something like that, it's not quite like that. I still think Shang-Chi was probably better as well as a standalone Marvel film, as a brand new IP, as a brand new thing. Um, but this wasn't bad. Like, I wouldn't say this is terrible or even boring. Um, there is a lot of plot development, not as much action as you'd hope, and the powers aren't that interesting either. But in terms of just like a general film, I think most people could enjoy this. That's why I'll give it a 6.5. So hopefully you enjoyed this film review, and I think my next one will be Spider-Man. I might watch something before then, but if not, I will see you for Spider-Man. Bye.